You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to College Loop Podcast, episode 188 of the College Loop Podcast. I'm Larck, on Twitter, and I'm here with Mr. Harrison Tarr. Tarr, how you doing, buddy?
It's my Super Bowl week. This is my Super Bowl, Dylan. Happy Masters Week to those who celebrate. I am doing phenomenally well. Ready to go see what the chef is cooking. Scotty Scheffler is absolutely winning the Masters this week. It's an absolute lock. I got a future on it in Vegas a few weeks ago. That's not really a future. I more or less just placed a bet on him. And that's not just me throwing money around. This guy's playing phenomenal golf. I'm so excited. Got a big scramble tournament for myself on Saturday. Got the boys' annual scramble tournament ready to go do some damage. And I'm plugging this up here at the front. I know we're going to talk Auburn ball. Sorry, guys. You guys know me, Golf Junkie. Down at the bottom, I do have my fantasy group on the description for whether you're on Spotify, whether you're on Apple Music, whether you're on YouTube. So make sure to join up. It is under my new golf channel, and That's One Golf. It is That's One Golf. There are no promos because I really didn't want to throw any money at this one. So that being said, speaking of which, we do have a winner for the women's basketball, national championship bracket, March Madness bracket, which we screwed up. They started the tournament late this year. I fact-checked myself. They did start the tournament late this year because of, I don't know, like I bleed over whatever the scheduling looked like, which makes a lot of sense because I kind of felt like the tournament's was kind of off and goofy in terms of its scheduling in the first place. So we have retroactively reprimanded ourselves for that one and rectified our mistake on that and have notified our winner. Hopefully, once our winner gets their prize, we are sending them a brand new Feel and Lippy t-shirt. I got their information already, Dylan. I'm sure you saw it as well. And hopefully we can announce, maybe push it back a little bit. You guys could always go back and check, but we can announce it once they tweet us a selfie. Little plug action. That's my plan. So yeah. In conclusion, Scotty Scheffler's winning the Masters. Let's move on. Let's talk Auburn ball.
I mean, it's also worth mentioning the winners of the men's bracket challenge too, because we're going to have a two-way tie.
Yeah, congratulations to Bill. No, actually, there's going to be a tiebreaker.
The score. That's right.
We're filming right now. I think it's going to wind up being Billy.
So shout out to both Jose and Billy for being the only two at the top of the leaderboard, and just shout out to whoever ends up winning that. And I guess you're right. It does look like Billy is probably going to win that, as well as UConn winning their second championship in a row. More on men's basketball in just a second.
Yep,
but of course,
thank you guys for playing, by the way. That's very, very important. Next year, we'll make sure we double check the calendar. Either A-Day was early or the tournament was late, and I think it's a little bit of both.
I think maybe both. A-Day is usually on that first weekend of April.
Yeah, maybe you're right. But you're right because A-Day always – No. Sometimes A-Day fluctuates and bounces back because A-Day overlaps with the Masters sometimes.
I think last year it was the first week of April. I'm gonna fact check myself on that.
You could be right. Anyways, I digress.
I'm just checking real quick. See, Auburn football A-Day 2023 was at April 8th. So it should be that first weekend of April. And I'm sorry if my mouse is going to be very loud. I'm speed clicking through this. Second weekend of April, because April 1st was a Saturday.
Gotcha.
So
A-Day was last year?
Yep.
Okay. Gotcha. That adds up. That tracks.
But speaking of A-Day.
Speaking of A-Day, that's the perfect lead in, Dylan. Let's go ahead and cook.
Yeah. So, of course, as everyone knows, A-Day was this past weekend, and it was a nice little game, a nice little 28-27 win for the offense, per the likes of one Towns Magoo.
Yeah, I watched the four quarters. I watched the fourth quarter. I went back and rewatched the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but last show I picked the biggest winners and losers of that game. Now we're going to look at the stocks of single individual players, and I know we have one of them that's not really that to kind of go through and whose stock rocketed, whose stock kind of plummeted. So just to start off, I'm going to go my first one, Jerrin Thompson, the safety out of Texas, who came in and immediately got the starting job. He's going to be the starting free safety for the Auburn Tigers, and he was all over the place on Saturday for the defense. Him and I think Eugene Asante, of course, was always going to be like the guy to do that. But Jerrin Thompson is going to be a great safety for the Tigers. I don't think Auburn skips that much of a beat after the Jalen Simpson era for the Tigers because of what Jerrin Thompson adds as a leader on the defense, as well as the fact that he is an awesome open field tackler. That's why he was just all over the place. And of course, that could have been limited to the fact the offense didn't look all that great outside of one individual player who we'll talk about, or a few players, but one of them, like the highlight of the offseason already. But yeah, Jerrin Thompson's my pick for the highest stock riser, and I cannot wait to see what he does whenever it is August.
Yeah, and to your credit, I think that to your point, Dylan, I don't think that Auburn skips a beat in that secondary either, especially when you've got a guy like Jerrin Thompson anchoring that down. You mentioned and kind of hinted at the really one true standout of A-Day, other than Towns McCoo, who, if you want to throw him on this risers list, yeah, absolutely. By all means, hometown kid, hometown hero. Dylan, Cam Coleman has entered the danger zone, a real deal danger zone in terms of we've only heard spectacular things and seen now, obviously, the 49-yard reception, first big play of the game and the only touchdown of the game that was hauled in by Cam Coleman. And just everything that you wanted from a Cam Coleman clinic was what you got on Saturday, if that's what you went for. It was almost kind of like when we play the hits, even though it's not like a previous hit. You know what I mean? Like a crowd pleaser, if you will. He has entered the danger zone of this kid is too good before he hits the field. I say that because that's where unrealistic expectations stem from. We've seen it before. We will see it again. And, I hope that it's not for this young man, because I think that this kid's got all the talent in the world. He really can be a difference maker and an X factor. And he's not the only one on this receiving core, I think, that can really, really make an impact. But he's going to be your wide receiver one as a freshman. And he is, by all accounts, everything he's advertised to be. Mr. Alabama, Mr. Football runner-up 2024 or 2023, 24 academic year, whatever the hell you want to go with. I digress, 2023 really. But yeah, I'm putting a proactive precautionary measure toward Cam Coleman. There's just no way this kid comes out game one and just absolutely balls, right? Like, there's just no way that happens. Like, it can't. Like that's just not the logic Auburn fans are mentally trained for. I say that I'm not taking anything away from the kid. He's gonna be phenomenal. He's gonna be a great football player, and it's not even a contest for the biggest riser of the spring, for damn sure. The spring game, I think, still, unless you want to truthfully, I mean, that honor can go to Towns McGoo, and I will listen to offer arguments, because wow, hell of a day for the kid. While McPherson's nursing MCL or ACL? MCL.
I don't.
Hamstring.
It was hamstring. I don't. That's not throw around those CL words, because we don't need.
Fun. But very, very impressed by him, and I don't think I'm in the minority in that. So.
No, I definitely think that if anybody's stock rose already, it's like I'm trying to think of like actual like stocks. It's like if you're trying to buy stock while it's low. That way you have a high return whenever it does rise. Cam Coleman stock is so expensive, because I don't think it never hit the bottom. It never sank. Dude came onto the plains and was already like put on 20 pounds of muscle. He was ready for it. Dude, he's not even wide receiver 1. He's wide receiver 0, just because you have to start with 0 there. He's monster 0, if you will. He is the King Ghidorah of the offseason for the Tigers, and that's a nice little monster verse reference to show off my nerddom.
Nice single-digit receiver too.
Exactly. I love the
great.
eights.
Looks great.
And I can't wait to see that little 3+8 duo, because as it stands, per my Twitter, because Perry Thompson responded on that, he intends to wear number 3 for the Tigers. So that's going to be awesome to see that duo, especially with Malcolm Simmons coming on and Bryce Kane still on the plains, and Dylan Gentry, who got a catch, the Freeze 5, if you will. But to kind of go on the other side of things, looking at going the opposite way, because not only does stock rise, but it falls. And my the guy who I saw stock fall the most on A-Day was Holden Geriner. And I wish I could say the entire quarterback room outside of Peyton Thorne really looked diminishing. Holden Geriner did not look like he's a junior out there. He did not. He looked like what I expected Walker White to look like. And Holden had the better players on the field alongside him. Walker White played most of his game with walk-ons as his wide receivers, and he still threw for 8. I think he threw for double the yards that Geriner did. I think Walker White had 83. I think Hank Brown he might have had in the hundreds.
Walker White had 83 yards. Geriner had 46. Hank Brown 102. Peyton Thorne 133 yards to the touchdown and 20 rushing yards.
Yeah, which rushing yards in 8A don't really count for the quarterbacks. But that's just it's 2 in touch. Do it.
Might not want to make them count in general.
Sacks shouldn't be rushing yards, by the way. But yeah, Holden Geriner does not look any different than what a true freshman does. I don't think you skip a beat from going from Holden Geriner to Walker White or from Holden Geriner to Hank Brown, whichever one you root for as a quarterback 3. I think the Auburn fans should be really rooting for a Peyton Thorne to be the starter throughout the year, because I don't think anything we've seen of Peyton Thorne can prove that anybody behind him can win games. Because I have been so unimpressed with Holden Geriner's game film, and I do not care what people saw in practice. The game film was not there for me, and I do not think that there's a good chance that Holden Geriner is still around for the Auburn Tigers. Maybe not even this year. I think the portal cycle is well available for him.
Yeah, I'd already kind of thought about that. That he may explore the portal in the late opening. We'll see, late window.
Yeah,
the Thorn window, if you will. Dylan, I'm gonna kind of give me 1 second. My voice is shot. I've had a long weekend.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. The vocal rest is a nice thing to go through, but
it's not fun. It's not enjoyable, especially when you have meetings all day and you have to talk. I digress. I kind of alluded to it just a second ago, but my biggest fathers is kind of like a room, and it's the running back room. Like everyone looked bad. Everybody looked bad. Jarquez Hunter netted 0 yards on 4 touches. Brian Matee actually wound up in the negatives, a negative 1 on 1 touch. Christian Burnett, 3 yards on 1 rush. Justin Jones, 5 yards on 5 rushes. Jeremiah Cobb, 12 yards on 6 rushes. And Damari Alston, 21 yards on 6 rushes. I mean, like, it's hard in a spring game to really analyze and overanalyze this kind of stuff. But, like, it wasn't fun to watch, per se. It was fun to watch the tangible improvement for Peyton Thorne in the RPO game. Say what you want, folks. Like, was he spectacular? No, not really. But did he look a hell of a lot better? Yeah. I thought he looked tremendously improved, specifically in the RPO game. And I think that's probably been a point of emphasis this offseason is improving the vertical game, considering, Auburn went and got a new platoon on the outside. So I'm not really like overly concerned, but also like soft caution zone. Like just like this, just don't let this be indicative and you'll be fine. I'm still pretty high on this room. I almost said super. I'm not that enthused by anything. But I'm still pretty high on this group, and I wouldn't be pressed. But if you had to pick a faller on that offensive side, it's certainly the running back room, because they were not, for the first time in a little while, we're not like an exciting point in 8A. Not a point where you're like, gosh, I can't wait for Auburn to run the ball again. Matter of fact, you kind of dreaded it. I kind of wish there would have been a 3-0 like tally mark counter going on with the Eagles screech 0-6.
And I will say, I could not tell if it was the running backs not being able to find an opening or the offensive line unable to open holes in the run game, because the pass blocking for the offensive line looked good, but the run blocking tend to break down a lot, especially within 20 yards. That one drive that stalled out on the 5-yard line, that you can't have that. And like, you can't have that in the spring game. You can't have that in the SEC. You can't have that against Alabama A&M. You can't have that at all if your offense is not able to power through, especially with the running back room you got. And I guess you are saving Jarquez Hunter. You don't want to get him hurt, so you kind of had him limited. But Damari also should be scoring from the 3-yard line. Jeremiah Cobb should be scoring from the 3-yard line. Brian Matee should be scoring from the 3-yard line. Shoot, Peyton Thorne should be scoring from the 3-yard line. Like, there's no reason that this offensive line, as improved as it looked in the past game, should be falling down that quick in the run game, because the run blocking last year was pretty good compared to the pass blocking. And I don't want a 180. I would like a positive 90-degree turn from both sides.
In the opposite direction of both being bad. I get that.
Yeah.
Just before we kind of move on, and I know you've got some recruiting news here, Dylan. has anyone explored the idea? We mentioned the improvement. You mentioned, Dylan, the improvement in the offensive line, the passing game. And I mentioned that I genuinely think that Peyton Thorne's gotten better in the RPO game. Has anyone just explored the concept that maybe Peyton Thorne's just going to come out and play good football this year? Like genuinely good football?
I believe he is. I believe he is.
And I'm not trying to like get overly delusional or anything, but like we can look back now and say the last year's Auburn team was bad, right? Like objectively, in terms of where the roster construction was at, in terms of schematics, in terms of culture change, like, and that's not me blaming stuff on Hugh Freeze. Like he inherited a shit show after where Brian Harsin had the program. But like last year's team for Auburn standards and where Auburn fans want to be at was objectively bad. Like it was not a good football team, and now we're looking into this new glass, and I know it's all this whole new year, new me thing, but like, have we considered that Peyton Thorne had a complete offseason and also kind of like all of last season to learn? Then this is going to be the keys to his Ferrari. It's up to him whether or not he's going to buy a speeding ticket. That's his choice, and I don't know, man. Like, what if Peyton Thorne's just average this year? Like, what if he's an average quarterback? Like, I know I'm serious. Like, if Peyton Thorne's an average quarterback, your solid 7 wins are there. If he's slightly above average, I think 8 wins is attainable. I mean, it's not a cupcake schedule for the state of the roster, but like, has anyone just explored that? I know that like I hear a lot of Auburn fans complaining, and I know that everyone wants like, look, I know you want your guy, a 3-year guy. Everybody does, and you hope you have one right now on the roster in Walker White. And you haven't had this kind of stability since Bo Nix, and I get it. And you want someone that can come out and have a fantastic year like Jarrett Stidham did in 2017. And I understand. And everyone's longing for that second coming of Cam Newton. Like, don't get me wrong, if that were to walk through the door, I wouldn't be mad. But I don't know, like Brady Cook won a lot of games last year. Brady Cook's not a particularly great quarterback. You know what I mean? Like he's just an average quarterback that can make some good plays.
He wasn't good year 1 under Drinkwitz, but year 2, I would say he was one of the best.
But I don't think Brady
7.
I don't think Brady Cook's a first round draft pick.
Oh no.
Yeah, like exactly. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think he's a second round draft pick. Like you don't need that guy like to be successful. And there are a lot of guys out there that have made teams around them better by just being average. And what if we consider average good football? Average in the SEC is good football, by the way. Like objectively, if you just play average, slightly above average football at the quarterback position, like, is there stuff to be desired? Sure, always is. Always is. Cam Newton didn't complete every single pass. If you wanted to go back and nitpick that, sure. Like, but I don't know, man. I just feel like we're not exploring that enough, and I kind of want to throw that out in the sphere that, like, I know you keep preaching the whole get behind Peyton Thorne, and I'm with you. It's more fun when you just support the guy that's going to play quarterback. But, like, have we, like, stepped away from the lens of, okay, I'm just going to support him because he plays for my team, and stepped back and said, you know, what if this SOB just comes out and plays good ball? Like, I think it's plausible.
Use your Brady Cook comparison there. What did Brady Cook look like as soon as Luther Burden became a vital point of the passing game?
Yeah.
He looked really good because you gave him the best wide receiver in college football, Luther Burden.
Sorry, my laptop just came unplugged and I had to lean over.
Yeah, but you give a average quarterback a first round caliber talent wide receiver, and we're all expecting Cam Coleman to be that.
This is no Brady Cook hate, by the way. Just so that's on the record.
Brady Cook's a dog.
Yeah, like, I love tweeting Brady is cooking. I think it's fun.
But you give a quarterback like Brady Cook, who I'm actually going to say above average, or even I'll just say good. Brady Cook's a good quarterback. You give him Luther Burden, and he becomes one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC, strictly because he has a reliability target that he didn't have in year 1, because Dominic Lovett didn't really play to his caliber in year 1 of Brady Cook, and that's why he transferred to Georgia and didn't really do much. And then you had Luther Burden come up and was like, oh, you know what? I'll take over, I guess. And then he had one of the best seasons in Missouri history. I think he's already the best wide receiver in Missouri history. Sorry, Dorial Green Beckham. But it's true. Luther Burden's that dude. And you look at Auburn, you look at Peyton Thorne, and you look at Cam Coleman, you look at Perry Thompson, and you look at Malcolm Simmons, you look at Bryce Kane, look at Robert Lewis, look at Sam Jackson V, look at Jay Fair, look at Rivaldo Fairweather.
Statistically, they can't all not pan out.
Exactly. Someone has to ball out.
Yeah, like no, statistically, not impossible, but improbable. Like,
and people aren't ready for like. So if you look at ceiling floors, your highest ceiling with this Auburn team is Peyton Thorne this year. This year, your highest ceiling is with Peyton Thorne. Your lowest, your highest floor for this year, also with Peyton Thorne. I do not think there is a world where Auburn fans should not be like supporting Auburn's quarterback in 2024 because again, as I've already said, Holden Geriner, I don't think is that dude. I think he's a great practice quarterback for Auburn. I don't know if he's an Auburn quarterback. I don't think I don't think he's going to be able to start because I think as soon as Walker White starts hitting a stride in development, that's Auburn's quarterback next year. I don't see a world where Peyton Thorne isn't the starting quarterback throughout the all 12 to 13 games for Auburn this year. And I'm going to emphasize 13 because I do think this team is at least 7 wins at the least. Maybe at the least 6 wins, but 6 to 8 is where I'm like ranging my realm of
this team's
possibility.
going to a bowl game. Like,
Yeah.
they're going to a bowl. Look, your worst chance of making a bowl game was last year. And there were some moments. There were some moments where if you would have told me they weren't going to make it, I'd have believed you. But this team made a bowl game last year. Auburn will, knock on wood, probably always have the talent to go 6-6. Like, in large. Like, yes, I know the 3-9 season is etched in some of your brains. I understand. But
you just gave me a nom flashback.
In large, like, that's always going to happen. This group's going to a bowl game for sure. But like, that could be a fun bowl game. Like, you could actually see some strides this year. And I know that you wound up going and not having the most fun in Nashville you've ever seen last year, but I think you just let them grow. So that's my 2 cents. I'll let you cook on recruiting, but I'm going to go as far as saying I think Peyton Thorne. This is as bold as I'm going to get this early in the season. I'm not going to get this crazy again until like August, but I think that there's like a world that Peyton Thorne plays good football this year. You can quote that. I'm not going to say outstanding football. I'm just going to say there's a world on read the shirt. Good football.
That'd be such a funny quote. I think there's a good chance that Peyton Thorne plays good football.
And
I mean, if you look at Hugh Freeze's coaching record, his first year at Ole Miss, he went 7-6, and year 2 went 8-5, then 9-4, 10-3, and then everything. Things happened at Ole Miss. But he was staunch improvement every single year. And you're expecting to see that from Auburn this year. So Auburn fans, please just get behind the quarterback. That's not like Bo Nix things. It's not just hate the guy that's starting just because we can hate the guy that's starting. Don't wish for the guy starting at quarterback is starting at quarterback for a reason. All of you, everybody out there while we were in college who was wanted to bench Bo Nix for TJ Finley or Malik Willis.
Joey Gatewood.
Just funny. I'm sorry, those guys didn't work out for Auburn. Malik Willis worked out for Liberty and Hugh Freeze, but Joey Gatewood didn't work out for anybody. And TJ Finley is working out for Texas State.
Nope. Western Kentucky
now. He is a Western
known Hilltopper.
Known Big Red enthusiast, TJ Finley.
I want a picture of him and Big Red in front of. He drives a Challenger, right? Yeah, in front of his Challenger.
I know. I want to see him and Big Red on a scooter. That would be funnier.
More iconic duos: TJ Finley and scooters, or Morgan Wallen and chairs.
You got me there.
It's a tough one.
Both are hilarious.
Both are objectively very funny. And for the record, under both circumstances, I do not hold a grudge against either human being. Unless that was intentional. Morgan probably should not have thrown a chair at a cop, but I don't think that's what happened based on what I've read. Still very funny. Like, guys, it's objectively funny that Morgan Wallen
outside the WWE, let's not throw chairs at people, okay?
Yeah, I know. If he's throwing it at the cop, that's not cool. But like, objectively very funny that country music star Morgan Wallen just got really drunk and threw a chair off a balcony in a bar. Like, everyone who's listening to this is thinking about their one friend who would get drunk and throw a chair out of a bar. Like, everyone's got one. You know that's true.
Yeah.
You're like, I could see insert human here doing that. Yeah, no, that's kind of relatable actually. Like
Harrison Tarr.
Yeah. I mean, of course I know him. It's me.
Well, Just wrap up football with some recruiting news. Auburn currently stands at the number 9 overall class 2025. Home of currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 4-stars, 4 3-stars, and maybe some additions later this week, starting off with Alvin Henderson, a train himself. Auburn missed out on a running back last year with Jamari and Fat Burnett, which could have been due to the Cadillac situation. But Alvin Henderson looks to be Auburn looks to be the favorite for Alvin Henderson, who's one of the top running backs in the class 2025. Currently looking at Auburn, Florida State, Miami, and Penn State. He announced that his commitment date is in fact set, but he has not announced what date it is yet. So as soon as he does, we'll be there to talk about it. And of course, if he commits to Auburn, we'll be there as well. He did just leave from a visit from Penn State, but I do think Auburn still is the favorite. He has 3 crystal balls.
Can you read those names to me again? The schools? It's Auburn, Florida State, Miami, and Penn State.
Yeah.
Okay. Have we ever just thought about objectively how goofy it is? Like the differences between all the schools that people narrow it down. I'm not even talking football programs. It's like I could go to school in South Beach. I don't know. Might be South Beach. Might be State College, Pennsylvania. Don't know yet. And you're just like, wait a minute. Those things aren't at all the same. One of those sounds like it rocks. The other one sounds like it sucks.
I have a couple weirder ones for you in a second when I get to the other two.
I'm ready. I will be making fun of them because, like, if I were to tell you, do you want a vacation in Miami or in State College, Pennsylvania? Like, I don't even think there's a discussion.
You'll see the same about Alvin Henderson. Again, one of the top running backs in the country, one of the top players in the state of Alabama. Would be a huge pickup, especially for a team that's going to need a running back in this class just to keep the room beefed up. Coming out of Elba, I think Alvin Henderson is that dude. And if it's not Alvin Henderson, start looking at Bo Jackson up there in Ohio. Or get both. You got to get Bo Jackson, I think. And then the second guy that we're going to be talking about today is Carday Smith. I believe I'm saying his name correctly. He's a 6'5", 285-pound offensive lineman out of Mobile, Alabama. He has announced that he'll be announcing where he is going on Wednesday. And watching this kid play, he is a run blocking machine. He is like, the scene from The Blind Side. I don't like The Blind Side, by the way. I hate the movie. It's terrible. But the scene where he drives that defensive lineman all the way over the fence and send him home. Yeah, that was a lot of what his film was. It was, I'm going to drive this guy into the ground if it kills me. That's the kind of tenacious offensive lineman you want, especially for an offensive line that coming out of spring didn't look the best in the run game. So looking for a great offensive lineman in this class, especially for a class that currently has 1, 2, 3, 4 offensive linemen currently committed to the Tigers. And I might have miscounted there. 3. I saw DL and counted as an OL. And Tar, here you go. He is currently has interest from Florida State, Auburn, and Mississippi State.
Okay, so Auburn and Mississippi State are probably the most similar out of those 3. Starkville, not as cool as Auburn, by full biased opinion of mine. I like Starkville. Starkville, cool place. Also, nothing in Starkville. So I could either go to known party school, Florida State, or I could go to an ag school. I love this. I think it's so funny, dude. Like, there's nothing not funny about college decisions. And, like, I want every kid to go wherever they can be the most successful. And I hope that that's Auburn. I know that you feel the same way, but, like, I want every kid to go somewhere where they can be the most successful, have the most successful development as a player, as a student, and as a contributing member of our society. But it is objectively very funny when they're like, yeah, these are my choices. Can't you see where they all align? And all of us like, yeah, no, not at all. Other than the fact that there's different football programs, but also the different state of those 3 football programs is also objectively funny.
I mean, I can name 2 schools that I would not be opposed to players not being too successful at off the top of my head.
Okay,
I'll leave those to the imagination of the viewers and the listeners of the College Loop. And the last guy that Auburn currently has a prediction in for is Anquan Fegans. This guy I'm not confident in at all, but Cole Pinkston has a nice little prediction for him on 3. Everyone kind of knows my affiliation with that, but he predicted him to Auburn. I do not think this guy's going to Auburn whatsoever, but currently on his list is Clemson, Georgia, Washington, and one of the other favorites outside of Auburn is the USC Trojans.
My case is so bolstered. My argument is so bolstered here. I love this. Cool. I'm with you. Don't think Anquan Fagans comes to Auburn. So
Yeah, of course, it would be awesome because he is out of Thompson, and of course, he has to be. If he comes to Auburn, he can
Auburn
recruit
can't
his
use all of its
teammate.
Thompson coins just yet.
Yeah, you got a guy next 2027.
2027.
I feel so old
Mm-hmm.
talking about
You
that.
should. You graduated college in 2022.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, currently favorite for USC for Anquan Fagans. It'd be awesome because this kid, he is a lights out, and he is words. His coverage ability is outstanding. He is a safety who can play man to man out of this world. If he did come to Auburn, it'd be awesome. If he went to USC, I don't know.
Good for him.
Fight on.
We're wishing him all the best, but also wishing all of our listeners and viewers the best as we transition over into Auburn men's and women's basketball. On the other side of this quick little ad break brought to you by our friends right here at the College Hip Podcast. We sponsor our own ad break. Yes.
It is now official. UConn wins their second national title in 2 years.
So UConn's feeling like a bunch of winners, but you guys know how you guys can feel like a bunch of winners. That's by hitting like, subscribe, and ring the bell right here on the College Hip Podcast YouTube channel. Give us a comment. Give us your feedback. Who's your risers and fallers from Auburn's A-Day, Auburn's spring session, things that you've read the message boards you have been in heat of battle upon. Give us all of your feedback. Drop it right here in the YouTube comments. Or if you're not watching on the YouTube channel, make sure you give us 5 stars, thumbs up, whatever the highest rating is of your streaming platform of choice, and tweet at us. Give us your thoughts, your strongly held beliefs, your questions, comments, concerns, demands, etc. And make sure you tag us in all of that using hashtag Feeling Loopy and then tag the show. We'll make sure we throw up any kind of questions you guys have. We always want to do Q&A. You guys decide the content here. But the best way that you guys can help us make sure we can reach more people is by subscribing to the channel on YouTube and by giving us those positive feedbacks and sharing the show on those streaming platforms. That is the number one way. It doesn't cost you a dime. It maybe takes 2 seconds out of your day, but just know we're thinking about you for those 2 seconds. And we really, really appreciate you. I genuinely mean that too. That's not lost on us about how much of a tremendous support you guys are. Without the listeners and the viewers, there is no College Hip Podcast. And we certainly appreciate you guys continuing to back us in that and go to war with us every single Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So thank you guys for that continual support. If you want to support the show in ways that go beyond just like, subscribe, and ring the bell, you can head over to thewarreport.com. You can also grab a cough drop before I read the rest of this if you want to hand it to me. You can head over to thewarreport.com, pick up your very own Feeling Loopy t-shirt. Comes in 5 different colorways, $25. That is only available at thewarreport.com. When you pick up your shirt, make sure you use hashtag Feeling Loopy. That's hashtag Feeling without the G. Feeling Loopy on your favorite social media platform. Tag us in it. We'll make sure we throw it up on the stream. I know we're sending out a shirt this week. Would love to see if we could get that submitted before the Thursday show. Well, it won't be there before the Thursday show. I'm just not even going to cap. But before maybe the Sunday stream, that'd be super, super cool. We'll see what we can cook up there. Let's roll in to Auburn's sort of basketball in a way. SEC basketball. It's big enough news. We got to talk about it.
I can talk about it for a little bit if you want. If you want to take a little sip of water for a little bit.
What'd you say?
So I can lead it in if you want to take a little sip of water before we go into that.
I'm going to try to get through men's, and I'm going to let you talk a little bit on women's about McKenna Eddings. I do have her stats pulled in front of me, and I do want to contribute, but I am going to go run and grab a bottle of water when I turn it back over to you. I have already killed 1 bottle of water since we've been on the show, only 33-minute mark, so I'm doing just swimmingly well, folks. John Calipari has tucked his tail and ran away from Lexington, Kentucky. And look, I get it. I do. I would have made him fire me. That's just me. Lifetime contract. Don't even know how the finances work then. I think you just get paid forever and just don't work. So I would have just let him fire me, but that's neither here nor there. John Calipari heading to Fayetteville, Arkansas in the wake of the departure of the must bus Eric Musselman, who's headed to USC.
Yep.
Yeah, USC. Sorry. I couldn't remember off the top of my head if I was just making that up, if it was a fever dream. I've kind of been out of the loop for the past several days. But Eric Musselman heads to USC in a super lateral move. And John Calipari stays within the conference heading over to Arkansas. So, Dylan, here's an interesting tidbit in our whole prompt here is how does Calipari's move to Arkansas shift the SEC? Auburn fans, buckle up for a second. You're not going to love this. This makes the SEC better, in my opinion. Listen, I think John Calipari is extremely overrated for coach at Kentucky. I think he's extremely overqualified for an Arkansas head coach. So he will return Arkansas to a level that a lot of people thought Eric Musselman could. And clearly people in LA still think he can. I think he lost his locker room. That's all not really just speculation. That's actually pretty widely accepted. But I think that Eric Musselman has that capacity, but I don't think he's the coach that John Calipari is. And when it comes to X's and O's, Calipari is brilliant. When it comes to recruiting, he's a genius. Granted, he was out of blue blood, so it kind of recruits for itself. But I think he's going to bring a couple guys with him. We've seen a handful of guys from Kentucky hit the transfer portal. I know you guys have all been watching. And Arkansas will be back quicker than you want them to be. Arkansas basketball fans, I have a special place in my heart for them in the worst way. I understand Auburn's distaste. I also understand their excitement because I think Arkansas just got a hell of a lot better. I think John Calipari walks on campus as the third best head coach on that campus now. They are a Diamond Sports School, probably fourth best track and field. Unbelievably good talent, exceptional talent in Arkansas.
Fifth best, Sam Pittman.
No, I'm sticking with fourth. Dylan, in my opinion, this actually makes the SEC better. Kentucky's going to be able to recruit from a brand standpoint. I will be interested to see if they go after a gentleman who coaches at the University of Alabama to see if we get some real reality cinema going on in the SEC. I do think they're going to call Nate Oates. His buyout's only $18 million. And if Nate Oates moves to Kentucky, then folks, you just had to accept the fact that Arkansas had to get good for Alabama to fall off a cliff. Alabama, I think, becomes an enticing job in the market. I think it is now. I think Nate Oates has done that to Alabama. But in the same token, now they've got to try all over again and try to go get the right guy. So I think it's a twofold, but I do think it makes Arkansas a very dangerous team, maybe not next year, but year after. And I think that as a whole, we see more competitive basketball in the SEC as a result of it. I do think that John Calipari is a coward. I do think he's an asshole, but I do think he's a good basketball coach.
Yeah, I look at it as, and of course, Nate Oates did come out today and say that he is fully committed to the University of Alabama.
They're going to call him.
How much I believe that, I don't know, because we saw a lot of people who are willing to leave their schools for Alabama for the football realm, because Mike Norvell, I believe, was like all ready to go, and Florida State was like all ready to call Lane Kiffin. Coach speak is coach speak, but if you can't turn down Kentucky money in basketball, unless you're Bruce Pearl, of course, who's going to be getting a statue and his own basketball facility named after him I almost said the University of Auburn, but Auburn University.
I think it's a little different for BP than for Nate Oates.
Oh, for sure. BP will never leave Auburn unless he retires.
I think you're right for one, but also two, I think there's a little element of, stop me if you've heard this narrative before, Auburn was his way back into the P5. And look, what Bruce Pearl did at Tennessee is nothing I hold against him ever. And it's not just because he coaches at Auburn. I would genuinely feel that way about pretty much anybody. I would look at that situation if you were to tell me Coach A and just left it like Coach A, Coach B, Coach at School C, and were to tell me that situation, I would look at you and say that's bullshit. On the that the coach got penalized, but it was kind of his last chance of getting back in the P5. Nate Oates, on the other hand, has a P5 job, fresh off a Final Four, which sorry to tell you guys now, is Bama's rapidly catching up to Auburn in that regard in terms of where they're at in postseason accolades. But I think it's a little different because I think that he would acknowledge Kentucky's objectively a more prestigious job, and that if he could take Alabama to the Final Four, what could he do with Kentucky? That's not me wishing Nate Oates away. I totally am. But like at the same time, I think it's situationally different.
Yeah, and also I think a lot of Alabama football fans would be a-okay with Nate Oates going to Kentucky basketballs.
I mean, they're just rooting for the same coach.
Exactly. But yeah, I know. So I agree. I think Calipari does go straight to Arkansas and does get to work. I don't know how many of those Kentucky guys are going to be going to Arkansas. Arkansas is a feeder school for transfer portal guys. But it does open up a nice little realm for recruiting because Kentucky a brand, Calipari his own kind of brand. I am very interested to see where those Kentucky guys go who probably feel a little bit betrayed that have already decommitted from Kentucky, who probably won't be going to Arkansas to follow Cal, because that opens up possibilities for like a Rick Barnes, a BP, a Nate Oates, and Chris Beards of the world to kind of open up more and like, all right, well, Kentucky might be falling off. We don't know. So maybe y'all can just go ahead and come on down to Auburn / Columbia with Lamont Paris. I almost forgot him. Or so on and so forth. Even Gainesville. Mike White is doing things down there as well. Mike White's at Georgia. Mike White's definitely at Georgia.
Todd Golden, Bruce
Todd Golden.
I was sitting here thinking about kind of vacancies because Vanderbilt went and got Mark Byington, right?
Possibly.
I'm almost positive.
I didn't even know they hired a coach. I can't lie.
The JMU head coach.
Yes.
I was about to say. I was thinking about possibilities about that. It's fascinating. I think Kentucky gets their pick. I think they get their pick, but also I don't know where you go. I mean,
people were already trying to say, oh, well, they're going to try to get UConn's coach, but UConn, no one's leaving a school that they just won back-to-back championships with, unless they're going to, I don't know, the National Basketball Association.
Brad Brownwell, maybe Clemson.
I've heard crap. I can't remember his name. Not Hurley. I can't remember his name now. But I'm sure they're going to try to go for some. I don't know if they're going to go for a midweight major, but they might go for. They're going to go for someone in a P5 level, or at least like the high level mid majors. Because where'd Cal come from to Kentucky?
Oh my gosh, why are you quizzing me on stuff like this? I'll look it up right now.
Honestly, I think if Nate Oates is at the top of their list, I'd be surprised, strictly just because of what he's done at Alabama. But they, as you said, they had their pick of the litter. I don't think there's a lot of coaches out there that will, unless they're the non-loyal to the school coaches. Let me say it like that because I don't need that taken out of context by any other fan bases. That will say no. Memphis, yeah. But yeah, I don't think a lot of coaches. They're going to be going for a guy with accolades.
Yeah,
because you're going to need a home run hire for that. Which I assumed Alabama football needed a home run hire, but they didn't really get. They partially got one with Kalen DeBoer. So interesting to see how that plays out. People were trying to say rumors that Cal's coming back to Kentucky, but after all of that mess, I don't think there's a shot in the world that he does. But overall, yeah, the shift, the earthquake felt around the SEC definitely happened with Cal leaving for Arkansas.
Certainly. Moving back into the Auburn sphere, let's talk a little bit about Auburn women's hoops. I'm going to step away from the microphone for just a second, Dylan, and I'm going to grab a water. I'm going to let you start to cook, though.
Yeah, so another transfer has hit the portal from the Auburn Tigers as McKenna Eddings, the guard from Williamsburg. I think I don't remember where exactly she transferred. I think she's transferred in from Oklahoma State. No, never mind. Stetson transferred in from Stetson last year. She had a year of eligibility left last year for the Tigers. Averaged 4.7 points a game. Got a 1.4 rebounds. Averaged about rounded assists. Didn't really shoot well. There was a lot of stretches of games where McKenna Eddings did not really add points onto the box score. Wish her the best of luck. This is definitely not as big as a hit to the roster as, of course, Sydney Shaw is, but you're gonna need some tall players to replace her because McKenna Eddings currently at 6 foot tall, and Auburn is in great need of some height on their roster.
The good news is right now you're getting all the exports, if you will, in terms of you're not doing a ton of portal. You're doing a ton of portal work, but you're kind of figuring out what your options are. And Coach Jay's going to have, I think, a pretty solid pick based on where Auburn was at. A lot of people, myself included, don't think that Auburn should have even been in the first four out. They should have been a firm 11 seed in the first place. And I think that it'll be an enticing landing spot for some young ladies that maybe didn't get PT elsewhere. Auburn's kind of still in that phase where you're not necessarily going to get mid-major starters. You're going to be winding up getting kind of rotational pieces with P5 experience and know that they can play at this level, and that's okay. They're really, really close. So, I mean, yes, does it stink losing McKenna Eddings and Sidney Shaw? More Sidney Shaw than anything. But yes, it's not great, but at the same time, there's got to be spots, there's got to be minutes, and I don't know that there are minutes to be had just yet if the plan is going the way that Coach Jay expects for it to. So I'm not pressing the panic button. I'm less concerned about portal movements on the hardwood, especially exports, than I am on the football field or anywhere else, to be completely transparent. Usually it's not an unexpected feat. You know your locker room, it's a smaller group, you know kind of who's going to be where, and you already kind of understand where they're at within the program, and you typically already know why. Not very often do you get it out of the blue. I don't get this one at all. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen a ton. You can look not that far back and just look at Trey Donaldson. That's not shocking, and things of that nature. So I'm not too pressed on this, and Dylan, I don't think Auburn fans should be. As we roll on, let's just talk Diamond Sports, I guess. I'll go bad first, and then you can. Yeah. So Auburn baseball sucks. This pitching's horrendous. It's so bad. It's horrid. I was at the Tennessee game on Saturday, and left before Auburn got run ruled because there was nothing good coming out of that. But I digress. They'll be taking on the Alabama State Hornets today as the show comes out at 6 p.m. Central Time, right?
Yep.
Okay. My laptop's on Eastern.
Same time as the softball game.
Okay. My laptop's on Eastern. Sometimes it changes. Sometimes it doesn't. The Auburn website just likes to keep me on my toes. And you take a look at the Alabama State Hornets, who are also underwhelmingly unimpressive. 13-16 on the year, but also like they're 5-6 in their conference. Auburn can't say the same. I digress. The averages at the plate are not comforting. The team average is 304. They've launched 30 long balls. I mean, the fact that they've lost 16 games to this point is actually kind of impressive. They've only struck out 171 times this year, and it's not from a lack of run production. It's just their pitching this is actually just going to be an absolute home run derby because their pitching is that horrendous. They're pitching to a team average 615. 615 as a team, which I would have to look at the stats for Auburn's group, but I don't imagine Auburn's a hell of a lot better. Their rotational arms in Johan Leboy is at a 3.66. Jafet Martinez at a 5.01.
I have the Auburn one if you want to know.
Luis Rodriguez at a 6.23. I'm going to guess Auburn's pitching to a collaborative 6.4.
You're talking about the ERA, right?
Yes.
5.93.
Okay, so I'm not even that far off. I'm half a run off, which is kind of a lot. But like, also, that's horrendous. Whose bats are going to be hotter for longer? I mean, that's really what this breaks down to, Dylan. I would pinpoint one person in this bullpen that I need to see something from, or in this pitching staff in general, but I can't. I really can't. It's just horrendous, and I don't know where you start. I don't know where you point fingers outside of outside of Parker Carlson, who's pitching to a 3.77, which isn't horrendous. Meaningful innings, like you don't have a guy below a 4. I don't. Yeah, I mean, Jogo's pitching to a 9.28. And 21 innings of work, and then Cam Tilley's pitching to a 6.88 and 17 innings of work. Will Cannon to an 8.79 in 14 innings of work. Christian Herberholz is pitching to a 6.14 and 22 innings of work. Carson Myers is pitching to a 4.13, which is like, I guess, a shining spot here, and 28.1 innings of work. And the only guy you got that's scot-free is John Armstrong. That is it. In 21 innings of work, he's a 1.69. It is John Armstrong and everybody else. An island of misfit toys in the bad way. I don't have an answer. And it's not like not everyone's recorded an inning because everyone's come in. I guess Drew Nelson's pitched, 0.2 of an inning and has an ERA of 0. So congrats.
Fifth.
Yeah. Sick. Yeah, pitched 2/3 of an inning, and that it's weird in decimals for innings pitched, but yeah, sick. I don't know, man. I'm at the point where this group is so damn talented offensively, and they're getting no help from their bullpen. They just cannot put it together, and I don't know that they can. Eventually, Auburn will stop playing top 5 teams on the weekends, but I mean, if you can't beat them now, like, I don't know. You get Kentucky this weekend; they're number 8 in the country, and then you get rewarded with a pretty good Mississippi State team on the road next week. You get to play Georgia Tech at home next week. I mean, you might lose 6 games in your next 8. That's probably a little aggressive, but at least 5 games. I have nothing good to say. I don't know if you do.
I mean, there's not much good to take away
And
from.
I'm not taking this out on Butch. Don't put Butch on the hot seat. Like, this is just baseball. It's just baseball. Like, it's how it works. You're going to have your ups and downs, and getting a bullpen together at the collegiate level is damn near impossible, especially when a lot of your guys are young. But
and of course, if the up tempo guys both saying that Auburn greatly what's the word? Not upgraded. What's the word? The opposite of upgraded. Downgraded. There we go. Downgraded would be the correct word for that. In the bullpen under the new pitching coach. That's what they've been talking about a lot. Which stats don't lie when it comes to that. But do expect Auburn to beat Alabama State. I do expect that to happen. Please.
Yeah, well, I expect them to win a lot of games. They don't. Yeah, if Everett Tifford, outlives this season, and goes into 2025 as the head pitching coach, I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a gentleman I'd like to give a chance. I'll leave it there.
And then on the other side of the diamond, softball got moved up from Wednesday to Tuesday. I presume potential weather, maybe.
Just an average Auburn softball schedule.
But they will be playing the UAB Blazers at 6:00 at beautiful J.B. Moore Field for sorority night, whatever that means.
Cool.
Currently, UAB is batting .262 as a team with, and their stat sheet is so long, with only 11 home runs on the year for UAB. Pitching wise, they are averaging 4.1 of their ERA. Auburn, on the other hand, the bats are starting to pick up a little bit. You're not getting very many. You're getting a couple of power hits from some of the girls you weren't expecting to get it from, but it is working out. Auburn, I'm not going to say the season's going to get much better than what it already has, but the War Eagle Classic showed me a lot of improvement from the team as a whole. It looked like they finally woken up a little bit. I do not think this means don't let Mickey Dean retire. Let the man walk. / keep him fired. Whichever route you want to take with that one. But you're finally getting there. You're finally finding a groove. You're seeing the ball bigger than it is. And that's exactly what you need to do. I expect Maddie Penta to start this game. She's been starting all of the midweeks just because why not? I was very against the fact that she threw 110 pitches against Louisiana Tech this past Saturday. Was not very pro for that, but I do expect Maddie Penta to start this game. She's obviously the best pitcher on the roster. She has a 1.6 ERA. Sources are saying that Butch Thompson is currently calling her up to the baseball team to see if she can pitch a baseball. Sources are saying.
Couldn't get worse.
I don't think it could get much worse. But I do not expect UAB to put up much of a fight. They cannot hit the ball very well, which is easy pickings for one Maddie Penta, who, if you can't hit the ball, then you are not hitting it off of Maddie Penta. So that is what the experts are all saying. Experts being me and everybody else who watches softball. Record-wise, UAB 17-21. They are 8-7 in their conference. Auburn cannot brag with their conference record in either diamond sport, but Auburn does hold a clear advantage talent-wise, batting. They're hitting the ball better, knocking it over the fence. Because I think as a whole, Auburn has over 30 home runs. Yeah, 33 home runs. 9 of those coming from Amelia Larck, 7 coming from KK McCrary. You have 5 coming from Anna Wallers, who is starting to wake up alongside KK McCrary. It's nice to see some steady improvement from Auburn softball. But if you're going to show me some improvement, show it by taking down LSU and Baton Rouge. But more on that preview on the Thursday show. But I do expect Auburn to beat UAB. I think that's pretty set in stone because you got Maddie Penta playing against a team that can't swing the bat very well. So
it's a recipe for misery if you're a Blazer.
And a recipe for at least a 1-0 win for the Tigers at the bare minimum. But yeah, I'm seeing improvement from softball. That's all I need to see.
It's almost like when you announce a change that's going to benefit the culture, good things happen. Anyways, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to wrap things up here, Dylan, and remind everybody, first off, that we appreciate the hell out of them for listening to the show. Thank you guys for your continual love and support. If you guys are hanging out on the YouTube channel, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Give us your comments, give us your feedback on anything we talked about today, whether that be Auburn football, John Calipari's move to Arkansas, whether that be Auburn baseball. And I sat here and drug those kids through the mud. I want to tell them that I'm still appreciative for everything they give to Auburn. Genuinely do mean that, but this team's just not where it needs to be. And Dylan mentioning his improvement in softball. Do you guys agree? I think it's pretty based opinion after this past week. Definitely want to encourage those young ladies to finish the year strong and be able to actually play in a tournament that they're going to host here at the end of the season. Give us all your feedback in the comments, or if you're listening on a streaming platform, make sure you give us 5 stars, thumbs up, whatever the highest rating is on your streaming platform of choice. Share the show with a friend and go give us your feedback, your thoughts, your questions, concerns, strongly held beliefs, demands on social media platforms, whether that be on Instagram or on Twitter. We're always #online. So make sure you guys go and interact with us so we can make sure we get a measure on what you guys want to hear on the show. That's what we're here for. We aim to please. If you want to continue to support the show in the ways beyond that go beyond just the surface level, you can head over to thewarreport.com, pick your very own College Loop podcast, War Report Podcast Network, co-branded Feeling Loopy t-shirt. Comes in 5 different colorways, $25. Use #Feeling Loopy. That's feeling without the G. When you purchase your shirt, oh my gosh, I'm running out of oxygen. When you purchase your shirt and post that on social media, selfie of you wearing it, your dog wearing it, whatever makes you happy. And we will throw it up on the next stream, next show, whatever that may come first. That being said, I am running out of vocals. Quite literally, I went and saw Riley Green last Thursday. He was amazing. He was fantastic. My 5th time seeing him in concert. I will see him a 6th. And then went to Auburn for the weekend and sang some mean karaoke. Did sing a little bit of "You Never Even Called Me by My Name" at Fat Daddy's Stolen, by the way. Might I add? So yeah, that's a hell of an experience. Got to show my cousin on the planes. Had a great time. Voice is gone, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. I'm Harrison Tarr at Harrison Tarr on the Bird app and on Instagram. If you guys want to come hang out, give me your good takes, your bad takes, and everything in between. Once again, my Masters Fantasy Challenge is in the bio. I said bio. It's the same difference, right? And in the description for the show, the little bio for the show. Yeah, I'll call it. I can rock with that. Make sure you guys go join. Absolutely free. Playing this one for bragging rights, seeing if you guys know Little White Ball better than I know Little White Ball. So we'll find out there over at That's One Golf. That is my new golf channel we're launching. I'm going to plug in that super quick. That's available on Instagram at That's One_golf. We will have our YouTube launch following the conclusion of the 2024 Masters. Got a lot of fun stuff coming up. Got a really, really cool video coming up. It'll probably be a little bit after the Masters because I've got to edit. And our tournament is on Masters Saturday. So got some good content coming your way. Very, very excited to share that with you guys. And of course, follow me on TikTok at tar_15 for all of your golf content needs. Dylan, appreciate your time today, my man. I've enjoyed it. Can't wait to see you beat me in the Masters Golf Challenge or the Fantasy Challenge just because you don't watch ball. It'll make me want to cry. Anyways, all yours, my friend. Let's go home.
I know the golf, man. I know the pars and the birdies and the penguins, all that jazz. You know me. I am a D1 golf man on the week.
They do call me Harrison Tarr.
A lark is a bird, and a nickname for a bird is a birdie. You know, it's like that. But of course, I'm Dylan Larck, at your boy Tang on Twitter. Also, your boy the Tang on TikTok as well. Trying to make some content for that. Find it very weird to actually just record like minute-long clips of myself. That's very odd to do. Just me talking to myself. But I tend to do that. I do that all the time here, so why not? And of course, on Instagram as well at Dylan Larck at DYLNLARCK. And of course, you have me right here on the College Loop where you should like, comment, subscribe. As Tarr said, leave your highest risers and lowest followers up from Auburn's Day and just spring practice in general. Leave your thoughts on the John Calipari move to the University of Arkansas. And of course, leave your predictions for Diamond Sports down below in the comment section. And of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I can't tell that enough. Your likes let us know that you love the show. And of course, we always have 2 already built into the show because me and Tarr both like the content, as should you. And of course, you're looking for us anywhere else. See us on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the works. All of us at The College Loop, and also have the audio version of the show as well on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and of course, Amazon Music. And of course, all of that being said, this has been the College Loop Podcast.
Love you guys.